Right then, let's talk about Mason Mount. United signed Mount fairly early in the window, 5th of July 2023. He signed a 5-year deal, which will keep him at the club until 2028. And he joined the club with, honestly, it was quite a mixed reaction. I did a couple of videos where I looked at what he thought he might bring based on what he did at Chelsea and what we know he can do. And I do think Mason's a real tidy player. I just don't think United know how to get the best out of him just yet. Or we maybe thought we could get the best out of him in one way and maybe performance rate of some of the others around him and availabilities of those that support him hasn't quite been there. And maybe that's a reason why we haven't seen it. But the truth is we haven't seen the best of Mason Mount. If you're new around these parts, then please hit the subscribe button. We try and do like fairly level-headed Manchester United analysis and discussion. If you're into that sort of stuff, then come and join us. If you're into the cranks, there's other channels for that. Sort yourself out over there. Right, lads, gather around. You have heard me banging on about Manscaped for ages, mainly discussing the virtues of a well-trimmed ball bag. But today we're going to move a little bit north and something that you might have actually seen, my beard. Manscaped isn't just a master of below-the-belt grooming. They have conquered beard territory too. And I know this is groundbreaking news. Let's delve into the details. Now, we are all well acquainted with Manscaped's brilliance for the downstairs department. They've been many a saviour of many a date night and many a ball bag. And you know the Lawnmower 4.0 by now. I'm not going to tell you about any of the features for it because if you don't know them, then you're never going to know them, right? It's a certified hero for the nether regions. But they're here for the beards now as well, and they've got the beard hedger. It is a cordless miracle worker that is both tough and gentle. It takes down facial forests in a single stroke. It's got 20 different lengths of settings. It gives you the power to totally customize your beard without cluttering up the bathroom and having a million different attachments. Now, they've also got another member of the band, and it's the Handyman. That is a dual-sided foil razor that has got your back, whether it's your face, whether you're going clean shaven or just tidying up a little bit around the neck. It is the epitome of comfort in the shaving world, and it's got a seamless and nick-free experience. So listen, if you want to give your beard the VIP treatment that it absolutely deserves, get over to manscaped.com, use a special code Howson. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping. And while you're grooming the jewels, let's not neglect the crown. With Manscaped, who said beauty had to be a pain? Let's keep it neat and tidy, top to bottom. Now, media reflection has raised a lot of questions on if we're getting the best out of Mason Mount. And I think they're valid questions, actually. They're not always, especially if they come from TalkSport, but I think there's a good question mark about a player that ate up a hell of a large part of our budget this summer. And if we actually are getting the best out of him, or is he suffering because some of the others around him haven't quite hit the mark? The disappearing act of Casemiro can't have helped Mason Mount settling in, for example. And I want to look at the whole package, what we've got with Mount, and a little bit of a deep dive into can he do some of the things that we predicted he might do when we signed him. So let's look at what we expected. The overall consensus with Mason Mount was that we could see why Erik ten Hag wanted him. And it was an auxiliary. It was almost like a fourth player to stick into three, which is a very good strategy to have. You can't just have three starting players, certainly in midfield. As we've seen, three ain't enough. So it looked like, add this fourth guy in, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, especially if we bring Amrabat in, which we all thought we were going to do around about this time and not at the very end of the window when we actually brought him in. We thought Mount would probably rotate fairly often with Bruno, but also play alongside Bruno, occupy a bit of an attacking area, be a threat from set pieces, potentially give us an option that could play off one of the flanks, which I thought would be quite useful and a bit of a different idea. We did expect him to play a box-to-box role, obviously with attacking output, going into the sort of 4-3-3 that you do see City kind of line up with a single pivot, which is a step up in your performance evolution because United clearly need the two there to cover the defence when the defence hasn't quite been at it. But there was a bit of anticipation that we would see Bruno, Mount, Casemiro sort of all working together and potentially see those three guys as a three. Now, what we've got isn't that. And it wouldn't be fair to totally like go and make a verdict on Mason Mount tonight and stick with it. I don't think that would be fair whatsoever. He's still bedding in. He's been injured himself, regardless of the injuries that have gone on elsewhere around the club. And the midfield between Bruno, Mount and Casemiro didn't start really well, to be honest. And there could be a lot of factors behind that, including adjustment, fitness, sharpness, knowing your teammates, and the almost inexplicable level drop that we've seen out of Casemiro, which has been incredibly worrying and still does worry me, actually. But worries me more than Mount's form, actually. And recently we've seen Mount improve, and he looks more and more like the guy that we thought we were signing from Chelsea. The most consistent role that we do see Mount in is a little bit of a box-to-box, sort of the role that Christian Eriksen was filling. However, he's been doing it in a very different way to Christian Eriksen. Eriksen's normally the man that drops deeper to support Casemiro in possession, enables us to play out, and we know he wasn't going to engage as much in the press, if at all. But Mount is very different. In that one aspect alone, he couldn't be more different. And he's not even dropping back that deep to come and be a bit of a deep-lying playmaker space. Instead, he's been almost like public school version of Fred, if that makes sense. He's been doing that sort of role. Now, I think he's got a lot more qualities in terms of pure footballing ability than Fred, but that's almost the way he's been getting deployed. He's been running way more. He's been picking up the ball in the final third rather than on the edge of our third. And he looks to, I think that's hurt the dynamic of the team just a little bit, because the players around Mount are still getting used to him as a player. What does he provide? How does he like to link with others in that? And I think the Luton game felt like one of his best cameos. It felt like we started to get what Mason Mount was going to do in this team. When he came on, he was active, he was dynamic. He only played 50 minutes, managed 2 tackles, 6 ball recoveries, 6 ground duels won, 9 out of 10 accurate final third passes, 17 out of 21 actual accurate passes, 33 touches, 86% ground duels won, 81% pass accuracy, 100% dribble success, and he's still creative. He's in the 91st percentile for shot creating actions versus midfielders, which is still very, very high. He's in the 94th percentile for touches in the attacking penalty area. He's in the 98th for progressive passes received. He's getting on the underballs. And he's a reliable carrier of it as well, consistent with it. 1.86 per 90 puts him in like the top 20% or so. He's tenacious. 92nd percentile for tackles compared to attacking midfielders and wingers. 88th percentile for interceptions compared to attacking midfielders or wingers. Like, we're getting some juice out of him. It's just not quite as obvious what he brings to some others. And it'd be great if he started getting some goals and assists, because he is in a bit more of an advanced role. It'd be great if he started actually forcing errors, sliding Højlund in. As soon as Højlund starts scoring, everything's just going to start clicking for this team. And it's not because Højlund's been bad. He's been a little bit unlucky, if anything. But where do we actually go from here? Because I worry for what this United team actually looks like. We got a game at the weekend. Who do we play? Oof. I think we're going to see Casemiro return in the new year. Who is the midfielder to play alongside him? And if Casemiro doesn't return to the same level like he did, do we need to go to the market and get one? And can we go to the market and get one? You've got Amrabat, you've got Mount, you've got Bruno. Can they play as a 3? Can McTominay force his way into that sort of conversation, or is he just going to get sold and we'll use the money elsewhere? Where does Mason Mount fit in for this? Can he be the evolution of Christian Eriksen? Can he play with Christian Eriksen? It's good that we've got options. It's bad that they're all sort of 5 out of 10 at the moment, and no one really, and including Bruno, is coming out and going, I'm the man. I'm going to take this team forward. We're not seeing what we thought we would see from Amrabat. Is there an adjustment period with him? If Amrabat hits the level that we think he can hit, can you play Mount alongside him, and can they then start getting the best out of Bruno? Is it a case of like all of these players need to support all of the other players, and once they do, boom, we're just going to be off to the races? There's an exciting potential in this midfield. On paper, it looks okay, kind of stacked. We got to get it working together on the grass. And I think once we do, we could be a real threat. But you guys let me know in the comments. How do you see this shaping up? What's your ideal midfield three, and what are the roles that those players are taking up? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.